It's Josh from CollectionDX.com here with another review. This is the Bandai 1/12 scale R2-D2 and R5-D4 model kit from a little independent film called Star Wars. Now there have been a resurgence in high-end Star Wars stuff as of late. We already took a look at the Revoltech R2 on a written review. And now we are going to look at the model kit. Now, like an idiot, I kind of didn't do build pictures of this. I just kind of was really excited about it and jumped right into it. So I'm just going to show you the box and I'll give you an idea of the amount of sprues involved here. There is a lot of sprues. It's an involved kit, but really rewarding. And I am not a model guy. I don't sit around and putty and paint and anime accurate things. I'm more like the Lego equivalent of, you know what I mean? Like, I just like to build shit. And this was fun. I really got into it. And the kit is really cheap. It's like $25, and you get 2 droids. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. So we're going to just jump right into the end result, and I'll kind of go through the build process as we're looking at the toys. So here we have R2-D2 and R5-D4. Now, these are pretty much straight out of the box builds, meaning I did not paint these, I did no panel lines, I used no glue. The only thing that I did is I used the decals. So you get to see what exactly the colors are straight up. There are 2 sets of decals that come with the toys. One is a water slide set, and one is just a straight up adhesive set. I started out trying to use the water slide, gave up quickly, and used the adhesive ones, and they look great. So go figure. So straight up we have let's do R2 first. He has some very nice detailing. A lot of the way that these are put together is most of the separate colored parts are separately molded pieces, and it goes together in a sort of a layered function. So for example, if I take off there you go, the gray is a separately molded piece. All of that just to get those 2 little pieces outside, which is pretty impressive. R2 does have a 3rd wheel. Oh, sorry, this popped out in the last thing. And what you have to do to get at the 3rd wheel is you take off the head and just sort of push it down. And that's all there is to it. You can break R2 down into separate parts if you want. They sort of come apart reasonably easy, and it gives you a better way to look at all the different parts. Some of these pieces, like I said, have a blue piece underneath and then the grading above it, so you really only see the color underneath, but it just shows a good level of detail on the kits. One thing that is good and bad about the kit is that all these little doors open on the front of R2, but they are not on any kind of hinge. They require removal and addition of pieces. First thing you have to do is take all these little doors off. They're kind of just held in with friction, so they just kind of push in the right way and they come off. And I think this is a door too. And then what you do is you take another door and use these tabs to stick them in. Pretty simple if you want to have all your doors open. That is what you do. Now I'm sure this would really benefit from having detail on the inside of the doors. So if you are the kind of person that cares for that, feel free to take a paintbrush and get to work. I am not. You can see here that we have all the doors open, and there are all just attachments that just plug in, and then from there you can take all the various arms. I did detail the arms a little bit with a Sharpie. So, for example, you can go there. And I'll take this one, put it up here. What else could we do? I'll take the buzzsaw. He's got a cool little buzzsaw. I didn't know R2 had a buzzsaw. I must not have been paying attention, but he's got a buzzsaw. And then this thing, which I think is kind of like a stun gun, if there was such a thing as a droid stun gun. And let's put this one up here. So as you can see, all of those things just plug in nicely to the front of the droid. The same door system goes for R5-D4 as well, but you only have one set of tools between the two droids. All of the panels on the head are removable, but there are two key ones here. Those ones there. And on that you can do, let's see, this one has the pop-up sensor, and this one has the little radar dish. R2 and R5 share mostly the same parts between the two of them. The only real difference between the two are the inner plate is orange on this one and not on that one. These are just decals, so no big deal. And the head assembly. R5's head assembly is nice, but it does not include the bad motivator, which would have been kind of sweet, but it does not. With the decal applications, some of these, I'll show you this in R5, some of these decals are microscopic, so you have to be rather skilled. For example, see those little four corners? Those need to be applied. See that these little blue dots? Those are all decals that need to be applied. This yellow wire, very fragile. Another thing too is it doesn't really show those. Some of the decals are a little large for their spot. You know, these are supposed to have little silver lines, but they do overlap a little bit, and they're kind of yucky. I can't believe I just said yucky. It would have been maybe nicer to detail these in silver. If you have a paint pen, to just go over those. You know, same thing in here. You can see that you're trying to do little lines here, but you really just end up seeing the film of the decal. So if you're skilled with a paint pen, they're just raised bumps. You could just color them really easily, and you'll probably get a nicer look out of it. And finally, for your viewing pleasure, we are going to do some comparisons between the Bandai kit and some other R2s on the market. Here you have the Kyoto, God, I keep doing that, Kyoto Revoltech, which we have said before looks really nice, but doesn't do a lot for the $50 that you pay for it versus $25 for two astromechs. If you like the weathering and you're just going to leave it on your shelf, that might be the way to go. But I think the proportions are also a bit wonky here. Notice the distance between the top of the eye and the blue bits here, and the top of the eye and the blue bits there. I think the head is just way too tall in the Kyoto Revoltech version, in my opinion. But overall, it looks rather nice. I guess you don't have to build it, so that's, if you don't like to build stuff, that's good. Here is the Star Wars Black R2-D2, which is disappointing on almost every level, including, I believe it's supposed to be a 6-inch scale 1/12 sort of figure, and it's way too small. It does get points for having a few opening doors and a lot of attachments built in for the $20 price point, but the messy paint, the gummy material, it's just not great. And we just have to compare it to the best R2 in all of existence. That guy right there. Really, there is no competition that if you could have only one R2 in your collection, it must be a vintage Kenner Star Wars R2-D2, although mine is a little battle worn. It's everything I know and love about R2-D2 can be summed up in that little droid right there. So, this is Josh from CollectionDX.com saying thanks for watching. If you like to build model kits, but you are not a big model guy, it's a pretty cool build. I'd recommend an X-Acto knife or pair of pliers to cut the small pieces off, cut the flashing off, and once built, you have a generally well completed little model kit that, for a very reasonable cost. And actually, one thing I like is it made me kind of more familiar with all the bits and bobs of the figure. I mean, you kind of think you know what R2 looks like, but when you actually have to put every vent together and every little hatch and things like that, you get a new appreciation, I think, for all the little intricacies of the Astromech droid. So, this is Josh from CollectionDX. We'll see you next time.